Now you have two images on the wall. All right, again, remember the Rorschach test. You have two images on the wall. I want you to tell me all the thoughts that come to mind when you see the image on the left. And don't be afraid to scream out. Nobody's going to get sent to the principal. What do you see? Fresh, yum, sweet, right? If I came into the room with a basket of strawberries that looked just like that, organic, and I put him on the chair right here, now what would be your thoughts? Okay, same thoughts. What would you think if one of us got up and started chewing on the strawberries? Maybe we'd want to join in. If I come into the room with a basket of strawberries, how many of your mouth starts to salivate? Your mouth starts to water? If I take a strawberry and I put it under your nose, what do you smell? If I take a knife and I slice that strawberry in half and put that under your nose, now what do you smell? Notice how all the sensations remain the same. You see a strawberry and it looks like a strawberry. You smell a strawberry and it smells like a strawberry. And you take a bite out of a strawberry and surprise, surprise, it tastes like a strawberry. Exactly, it's a strawberry. But what thoughts come to mind when you see the image on the right? Cute. It's kind of a rigged audience. You're in a vegan restaurant. But you know, when I go to a classroom, you know, half the response, you'll get half the kids who say, "Oh, cute, animal, pig, Wilbur, babe." So half the class will see an animal, and the other half of the class will see bacon, sausage, ham, pig's feet, pork, and hot dog. They'll see a food. It's one or the other. You're either seeing an animal or you're seeing food. Now, what would happen if I took one of the pigs living, brought him into the room right here, and put him right in front of you? Does that change it? Now what do we see? And I mean, what would we think if one of us got up and started chewing on the pig? Not very normal. If I come into the room with a pig under my arm, how many of your mouth starts to salivate? Right? If I take a pig and I put it under your nose, what do you smell? You smell a pig. Just like if I took a dog and put it under your nose, you smell a dog. A cat, you smell a cat. If I took a knife and I sliced that pig in half and put that under your nose, now what do you smell? You smell the stench of death. You smell a rotting corpse, bacteria, decomposing flesh. You see, there's a process involved, and I'm here today to show you that process of how you convert this animal into this product. Why should it be kept a secret? Why should we not know what we're participating in and what we're putting in our body? Now, let's make the situation slightly more realistic. If I were to put a pig on this side of the room living and a butcher's knife on the side of that room, I mean, how many people would be willing to pick up the knife and take the life of that animal? It's very rare, right? And if somebody did that, that's all right, but how many people in this room would try to stop that person from doing that? Right? Would we try that? Of course. That's compassion. I mean, that is the greatest quality of the human race. There's no other species on this planet that has that level of compassion to extend to all living beings. But if you would stop somebody from killing a pig in front of you and then go home and have this for breakfast, well, that's called hypocrisy. You know, just because it comes in a nice, neat package all dressed up in your supermarket, just because you didn't take the knife and shove it through their jugular, just because you didn't get blood on your clothes, and just because you didn't hear their screams doesn't mean you didn't participate in the killing. Every time we buy this product, we are supporting somebody else doing what we ourselves wouldn't want to do, what we ourselves wouldn't want to see, and what we ourselves wouldn't want to hear. Now, if you still see bacon, sausage, and ham when I bring a pig into the room, what happens when I change it to... One sec. I'm supposed to like not. There we go. All right. Oh, right. It's the common response. No, I've never heard anybody say yum. Nobody ever sees dog feet, hot dog. So why not? Why don't we see a food? Well, we've been accustomed to view this animal as our pet. I mean, how many of you have a dog or a cat, right? How many of you have a pig? Not so much. All right, so, but there are other cultures. There are other cultures. Again, the cultural story for us is, this is your pet. In another culture, certain parts of the world, they eat cats and dogs. That's their culture. That's their story they've been told. And how do we feel about that? A lot of people think it's disgusting, right? I imagine every one of you probably thinks it's disgusting to eat a dog. Why would it be disgusting to eat this animal and not disgusting to eat this animal? Why would it be wrong to eat this animal and right to eat this animal? And most importantly, why would it be wrong to kill this animal and right to kill this animal?
Culture.
It's culture. It's the story. It's the matrix that we've been told. One culture sees this as a pet, this is a food. Another culture might see this as a pet and this as a food. Another culture might see them both as food. Certain parts of India, the cow is sacred. They would never think about eating a cow in certain parts of India. Is that wrong? Is that unnatural? That's just the story they've been told. But culture is just a story. That's all it is. It's just make-believe. What I'm concerned with is what is natural to the human species. Because every culture has a different story. But you take somebody from Asia, Africa, South America, North America, Europe, and we're all the same species. We're all human beings. So let's take a 3-year-old from any country in the world, and you put that 3-year-old in a room, and you line up 5 animals in front of that 3-year-old. A pig, a dog, a cow, a cat, and a chicken. Do you think the 3-year-old is going to know which one to eat and which one to pet? What's the 3-year-old most likely going to do, or try to do? Play with them all. He's going to try to play with them all. The 3-year-old has to be taught, no, 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 no. Don't play with him. Eat him. Play with him. Pet him. That's what we were taught. We didn't choose our diet. Our diet is a learned behavior. We were raised to perceive this animal as your pet and this animal as your food. But that's not the natural perception. The natural perception is that they're all of our companions. So our parents chose our diet based upon the cultural story. And if you have children, you base their diet on the cultural story being told, which is the same story. Now, let me give you another example. If you take a baby and you put a baby in a crib and you put on the right side a baby chick and on the left side an apple, which one do you think the baby's going to try to play with and which one do you think the baby's going to try to eat? Most likely, I put the inanimate object, in this case the apple, in his or her mouth. And if the baby, most likely will be piqued by the interest of the thing moving, in this case the thing being actually a living being in the chick. Now, if the baby tries to eat the chick, what's the chick going to do? It's going to run away or peck at him. Now, if you walked into a room with a baby in a crib, playing with an apple, and chewing on the head of a live chick, what would you think of that baby? It's like demon baby? You gonna allow that demon baby to play with your baby instead of a play date? Probably not. So if it's not all right for a baby to cause harm to an animal, even when they don't know any better, why does it become more acceptable as we get older, when we do know the difference between an apple and a baby chick? The question is, do we find it acceptable to cause harm to an animal? Well, let's find out. If you don't walk outside right now and you saw somebody taking a baseball bat to a dog's head, what would you do? You take action. At the very least, you'd call the police because you recognize that as a violation of this animal's right to be free from harm. We're all given that right at birth. Every animal on this planet, whether it's a mammal, whether it's an amphibian, whether it's a bird, a reptile, a fish, an insect, we're all earthlings, human beings as well. We are all earthlings. And what do all earthlings have in common? 2 things. We all want to live. We all desire to live. That is what creates the equality in all of us. We all want to live. And the second thing is we all avoid pain. Those 2 things make us equal. From the largest land animal on earth, the elephant, to the smallest, the insect, the ant, and everything in between, from the dog, the pig, to the human being, we all desire to live, and we all avoid pain. Now, if you were to walk outside right now and you saw somebody taking a baseball bat to a pig's head, would your emotional response not be the exact same thing? Of course. Because the question for you is, what's the difference? What's the difference between the 2? Right? Is there a difference? You might think one is cuter than the other, but that says more about you than anything about these 2 animals. A lot of kids will say, well, the nose looks different. I say, but they both got a nose to smell. Some kids will say, well, he's got hooves and he's got paws. I say they both got feet to walk and run. Some kids say, well, his ears are going up and his ears are flappy. They both got 2 ears to hear. They both got 2 eyes to see. They both got a heart to beat and a mind to think. And the reason why we would take action for both of them is because we recognize the equality between them and not the difference. Any difference is insignificant. The similarities, though, are striking. We know they're equal, yet every time we sit down for a meal, we create that separation. We create that inequality. It's just like we knew the 2 circles were equal, red and blue, but all it takes is somebody to tell you a story. Now, what we most importantly recognize is that all animals have feelings. But how do we know? I mean, how do we really know? How do we even know that humans have feelings? Well, I mean, of these feelings, what's most important to you? Happiness, right? How do you know if somebody's happy? If I said to you right now, this is the happiest moment in my life, would you believe me? Hopefully not, no offense. So, how are you going to tell if somebody's happy? They're smiling, they're laughing. I could take somebody in this room who doesn't speak your language, but you can tell how they're feeling by their expressions, the sounds. It doesn't have to do with a language, though. What about other animals? Well, they wag their tail, they bark, they jump up and down, they play with each other, they lick. So all these are signs of how they feel. What about pain, though? If I said to you right now, my right hand is killing me, would you believe me? I haven't given you any signs. It might, though. It might be killing me. There's only one person in this room who knows that it's actually killing me. That's me, of course. But let's say I was to trip over my feet here, though, and nail my head against the side of this table, start bleeding profusely out of my head, and I'm screaming on the ground, would you believe I'm in pain? Of course, I'm showing the signs. Here's the test. You take your hand, you put it over a flame, what happens? Burns, right? What's your reaction? Pull back and scream. You take a dog's paw, put it over a flame. What's his reaction? Same thing. Pull back and scream. You take a pig's leg, put it over a flame. Same reaction. You take a dog, a pig, a cow, a chicken, a goat, a duck, a horse, a rat, a mouse, any animal that's living, put a body part of the flame, they all have the same reaction. You take a fish out of water, and what's their reaction? Start flopping around. Why? They can't breathe. You want to know what it feels like to be a fish out of water? Have your loved one put your head underwater and not let go. It really wouldn't be your loved one, though, if they're doing that. That's what it feels like. Of course fish have feelings. They're not vegetables. If you take a vegetable, you take a plant, you take a strawberry, and you put it over a flame, and what happens? It melts. It doesn't have feet to run away. It doesn't have a mouth to scream, a nose to smell, eyes to see, ears to hear, a heart to beat, and a mind to think. And a lot of kids will like to give this one. Before you say, well, plants have feelings, they don't have a nervous system. They don't have a nervous system. Without a nervous system, they can't feel pain and happiness the way that animals and humans can. So the question is, when did we learn this? When did we learn that animals have feelings? Hopefully this isn't the first day that you learned this, right? When you were younger, right? And how did you learn it? Maybe you had a cat or dog. All you have to do is go outside and just experience any of the animals outside. And if they run from you, it means they're scared. If they come up to you, you probably have food or something and they want it. So we understand this through the experiences we have. In fact, think about the books that were read to you as a child, the songs you listened to, and how about the movies? Now think about the movies we show to our kids. What do all these movies have in common? What are they about? What kind of animals? Farmed animals. Even fish are being farmed. You have pigs, chickens, cows, and fish. These are all the animals we eat. What's the common theme in these movies? They're running. Yeah, they're being saved. No animal wants to die. No animal wants to be dinner on your plate. And we root for these animals. You take even the biggest pork eater in the world, he's rooting for Wilbur. Nobody wants to see Wilbur made into bacon at the end of that film. Chicken Run. We root for the chickens. Now, I guarantee there are 1,000 people, watching Chicken Run. Go, chickens, go! While eating a KFC bucket of chicken wings. Because they're not making that connection. Babe. How many kids watch the movie Babe, fall in love with Babe, and then go home and are fed Babe unknowingly by their parents? So we're teaching kids to love these animals, but eat them too. And this is the closest thing you'll come to see their reality in the Matrix, in the story we've told ourselves. And most of the times, unfortunately, the closest thing we'll come to is in cartoon form. And what is it? By Pixar and Disney, nonetheless. But today we step outside the Matrix. And generally speaking, when I go into a high school classroom, I show Meet Your Meat. If you haven't seen this video, if you still are eating meat, dairy, eggs, fish, take a look at meat.org, meat.org, and you can see the conditions that these animals live in. Now, I'm not going to show you that. Every time I show it to adults, they just leave. They don't come back. So I'm going to show you a 3-minute video, again, by the same people that put on the first video, Farm Sanctuary. It's 3 minutes. If you don't want to watch it, you don't have to. But this is where 90 to 95% of the meat, dairy, and eggs that we're consuming in the United States are coming from. And I mean, really, if you have a problem watching it, but you don't have a problem eating it, why the disconnect there? But this isn't just about animal rights. This is also a health issue, and that's the second part of the presentation we'll talk about after the video. The question is, do these animals look healthy? Do the conditions they're living in look healthy? Because if the animals don't look healthy to you, why would you want to put a sick animal into your body? One last thing before I show the video. A lot of people say, well, what about milk? There doesn't seem to be any harm in raising cows for milk. Notice the very first scene in this video of the dairy cows, and you're going to actually see a cow giving birth. And notice what happens to her calf, and notice her response.
If I could talk to animals that are being confined and abused now in factory farms, I would say I'm sorry for what we're doing to you. I wish it wasn't this way, and I'm doing everything I know to